So my name is Nurdiana. I work with them since 2006. Almost 20 years lah. I graduated from Ministry of Auckland in 2019 in Mechatronics Engineering. I've been doing mechatronics my whole life, by bachelor, master and PhD in mechatronics. And I earned my IR last year, actually end of last year. And that is due to my field work in Inocom Corporation. So we do the automation system for them. So we got that project to be submitted for the IR application.
Have you been involved in any actual case where co-ops lead to a conflict or dispute?
So basically in any setup in the industry, then you will have to abide by some kind of regulations. And usually you have either HSSE managers or people that are assigned officers in the factories or manufacturing plant that actually doing just that to make sure that everything follows the regulations. In my case, we haven't really had fatal accident, but it's a more of like negligence. Sometimes you are required to wear some sort of like safety jackets, helmets, and people usually discard the helmets because it's heavy and it's hot. And then if something falls on your head, so previously when I was in Inocom, there are a lot of things that have hanging from the top. Okay, so typically it should not reach anybody during the operation. Even all the operators doesn't require to wear helmets because everything else is actually it's not going to reach their head. There are supposed to be like maintenance done for the pulley lock. It was not done according to the PM schedule, which is like preventive maintenance schedule, and it broke down and it falls. Thankfully, because there's still wires, but it actually reached somebody's head. This is the reason why we have safety regulations in place, because manufacturing plant or even in factory, there's a lot of things going on. So if we're not following certain regulations during work or that people have to adhere to, because this actually will lead to accidents if we don't follow. I don't have experience on the fatal cases, but there are these cases that usually happens because somebody has not followed some kind of work instruction.
Then, in your view, how should an officer work with safety and health community in a factory or plant?
So typically when we do work or project work, right? So in the beginning, everybody must be involved in the first kickoff meetings. Usually this is where we have a lot of things discussed, things like tag up. This is the or Zeto rules that you have to follow. Like for example, if you want to service some machines, everything auto must be done. So basically you have to take off the power supply and everything so that nobody's accidentally taking something in. So there's a lot of things that we actually put like a rules and regulations during the initial meetings for the project kickoff, so that everybody are sure. And typically for any client, if you go to, you need to go to the safety briefing first, right? So if you have like things like forklift in the plant, they usually that designated route for them, and you have like the green one you can walk, right? It's a pedestrian walk. Then the red, for example, is a forklift area you cannot cross to. So because like a lot of forklifts, that they are usually carrying heavy things in front. They don't have the view. So usually that's why these designated areas are actually planned out so that you don't actually accidentally get run over by them. Basically, any professional engineer's work is that you have to outline what are your job areas and who are going to be inside the area with what authority. Okay, so sometimes even the authority level, we have to basically, like I say, the operators can go if the line leaders are there, for example. Okay, or line leaders can change something if the supervisors are there. So everybody has some kind of accountability so that we don't get into accidents.
For last question, what advice will you give to the IT professional about balancing legal, environment, worker welfare, and safety laws?
Okay. The thing is, professional engineers are basically a lot of engineers are actually have good skills. Yang dalam kan. So for you to actually to apply for professional engineers, then you have to show that you have done some work with a good code of ethics. Okay. So dia ada uh, 1974 untuk ethics, code of ethics yang kita tak boleh yang kita has to follow lah, dan ada juga code of ethics daripada EM lah. Okay. That's like what it binds you sebenarnya as a code of ethics. You have to verify everything yang dapat datang depan you sebelum you actually allow them to work.
My name is Lok. Yes, from BKB Consulting. Okay, basically I'm an electrical engineer. So as I work in a consulting firm, so basically my task is more on the design of electrical system in buildings, mostly involve LV system voltage of less than 1000 volts. And so my main task is to help clients to come out the electrical system in their buildings according to their requirement, and also not to forget about the standard design compliant in terms of legal. Like we have to, when we design the electrical system in the building, we have to comply Akta Pegawai Elektrik 1994, and also the Peraturan Elektrik underneath it. So there's a lot of aspect in this Akta. Basically, it involves some standards. Let's say the cable size, cable size we have to use according to the current carrying capacities. We also practice Malaysia standard, MSIEC standards, like lining protection 62535, if I'm not mistaken. So all the designs are according to the standard practiced by Malaysian law and statutory, because we are designing the buildings in Malaysia, not overseas, right? Of course, not to forget other laws as well, like UPBL, Uniform Building Law, and to comply to the requirement by local authority. In Malacca case is like MBMB, Suruhanjaya Tenaga, yeah, local authority lah. Yep.
So, that is our first question. The first question is, what is the primary responsibility of a professional engineer regarding public safety according to the BEM Code of Conduct?
Primary responsibility of a professional engineer, we have to make sure the safety, like go back to the standard as well. For example, in electrical aspect, we must make sure, one example, in your electrical system in the building, we have RCCD, residual current circuit breaker. So that purpose of RCCD is to protect human life, right? Leakage, like in general, according to the IC standard, humans should not exceed, if the current of more than 100 milliamps pass through your heart, it will cause cardiac arrest, things like that. So we have to follow the peraturan set by ST to design the RCCD such that in a wet place like water heater, you need to put 10 milliamps, and public area. Basically, these are the standard we follow for safety. This is just one of the example. And then also, like, come back to your question, primary responsibility of professional engineer regarding public safety. So according to BNN Code of Conduct, basically we must follow the law. Basically, law is the fundamental guide. We will never break any laws when it comes to safety lah. Because there are a lot of standards which supports the law towards the best safety and practice, especially in terms of safety.
Next question is, why is it important for engineers to provide truthful and accurate information in their reports and presentations?
Let's say we have a case where the local authorities building requires lining protection system, and in, let's say, lining protection doesn't look good because it like affects the aesthetic of the buildings, things like that. But it's due to under law, we can't just say, yeah, you can proceed without the lineage protection, even though it might go against the client's interest. But if there's anything, especially like back to the first question, safety, if safety is compromised, we as a consultant, we will honestly tell the client that this is against the law, you must follow the law, you follow the safety standard. So if client in this industry also honesty, like if example the supplier propose a lower standard specification, it's our responsibility to inform the client, honest with the client. As a professional engineer, I'm here to make sure it complies with the standard. This copper, the copper is not pure. So if it's not up to the standard, we will not advise client to proceed with the specification of the material, construction materials. Yes.
Next, how should an engineer handle a situation where there is a mistake has been made in their design that could affect the project?
So integrity wise, of course, maybe human make mistake, but of course in our workplace organization, we always have seniors engineers. They will always counter check. Sometimes error will occur, but integrity, like you say, there's nothing to be afraid if you make mistake. I mean, you just correct the mistake. You just reissue. If there's really any mistake happen, we will just tell the client and then we will proceed, come out the next course of action, like to issue a engineering instruction to rectify the mistake.
Next question. What steps should an engineer take if they have a personal interest that might influence their professional judgment on the project?
So talking about conflict of interest, normally we will check first if this project, if there's any conflict of interest between the stakeholders. So the short answer would be, if there's conflict of interest, we shall not step in at the first place. I say you can just pass the project to somebody else that is not in the conflict of interest.